Welcome back to the story series with Stephanie Hogue and Steve Munch. Today we have an exciting new photographic event that Stephanie photographed the other night. We had some amazing weather changes happening in Ventura County, and it shifted from like 84 degrees out to suddenly being dark and gloomy and raining and lightning. So, Stephanie, would you tell us what you caught? What were you doing? I can't believe you got this.
I know. It's kind of crazy. I was so lucky to be in town this. I had just flown in, gotten back from Wyoming the night before and was kind of out of touch with Ventura. I hadn't looked at the weather or really knew anything of what had been going on, and spent the whole day editing because I was editing from my other trip. So I was kind of in a cave in my working on my computer, and we had kind of a Santa Ana wind blowing that day, so it was kind of warm and just a little different. It felt like fall, but all of a sudden I get a call from my friend who always, when she sees the clouds kind of getting high clouds and kind of interesting, she'll always give me a text, and I get a text like, "Are you going to go out and shoot?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll go shoot the sunset." And she's like, "Sunset?" She's like, "Get out there." And right about the time she's texting me, I heard this like rumble. And for Ventura County and Oxnard, thunder is very rare. So I
Mhm.
had no idea what was going on outside. And I was like, "What is that?" And I go look outside, and the whole side of the sky pointing kind of towards the southeast of me was just like dark, and all of a sudden I saw like a flash, and I was like, "Oh my god." So I hop in my car. Well, first of all, my camera gear was all over the floor of my office because I had just unpacked from a trip. I've got stuff everywhere. I'm in like my yoga pants and cozy clothes, and I was like, I got to get out of here. And so I'm like throwing all my gear in my bag, and I slip on some shoes, whatever was closest to the door, and I jump in the car and I'm driving. And the hard part is I'm driving away from the storm, so I keep looking back trying to see what's happening, and I see these flashes going all in the sky, but I'm looking more toward I head to Ventura because I'm trying to think like, okay, the storm's that way. What's going to look good in this shot? Because I mean, as a professional photographer, I mean, you can always shoot a picture of the sky, but it doesn't have much meaning for me unless it's got a sense of place or a really nice
Mhm.
composition or something beyond just
Right.
the clouds. So I go racing to Ventura, and I'm thinking, okay, what looks good looking that way? And this is one of our favorite scenes in Ventura is up
Mhm.
from the cross. It's called Grant Park, and you look out over the whole city and the curve of the coastline there, looking over Pierpont, and it looks towards Oxnard, the Oxnard Plain, which is where this storm was coming from. So I'm like racing in my car, and as I get closer, there's like the whole freeway is stopped. I mean, a dead stop. Luckily, I didn't get on the freeway, but I was going the opposite direction. And I think they had an accident or something, probably from people watching the lightning. I'm not sure, but it was just bumper to bumper all the way. And I'm driving across to Ventura. And as I get closer, I can feel the energy. Like everybody's just like racing around and trying to see it. And I start going up the hill, and there's a million cars racing up the hill. Like I think everybody just wanted to go up there and see this because it was happening right at sunset.
Mm.
And the crazy thing is, there was a sunset. Like, we had this
Yeah.
storm and we had this sunset, which, I mean, that's so rare. Just getting rain or thunder or lightning, I think it feels like it happens once a decade,
Yeah.
but to have it happening at sunset, it was pretty spectacular. And I got up to the top of the hill, and by the time I got up there, there was nowhere to park. Like, cars were
Mhm.
everywhere, and you had to be really careful. People are running, trying to get a spot to watch, and, it felt really chaotic. But as I'm driving up, I saw this one opening, and I'm like, I didn't even think about it. I just pulled right in because I was like, I knew that was a good spot. And if I had hesitated, I might have not gotten a parking space and like wasted my whole time just trying to find a place to park. So I jumped out of the car, and all I had was like this rinky dink, well, it's my smaller travel tripod, which isn't what I would normally choose for this setting because I knew ultimately I was going to need a long exposure. And again, I don't shoot lightning that often. This is not, you know, second nature to me. Like, so on the way there, I literally was like, okay, what am I going to be doing? What am I going to be? I'm going to shoot long exposure. So I had my camera out and I'm trying to preset a few of the settings just so when I got out of the car, I'd be ready. Because also with a storm, it could last 2 minutes or it could
Mhm.
last 20 minutes. And I had no idea if I was even going to get a chance to photograph it because it was happening on the drive to this spot. But I hop out of the car and throw out this little tripod, get it balanced, and compose my shot. And I'm just trying to calculate the lighting because it was tricky. Lightning at night is a lot easier because you can just leave your shutter open and the lightning just records as it's going. But I had to balance this sunset lighting and pull in the light, the ambient light, and try to capture the lightning. And it went I'm pretty happy with what I got, but it was a struggle at first. And yeah, that was the other
Yeah.
dilemma. So here's one of the big dilemmas is you park yourself and you're set up for this shot and you're trying to record these bolts of lightning without getting struck by lightning.
Yeah.
There was just lightning over our head. It was over towards the south. It was happening towards the west. I mean, lightning really was all over the sky. And I had committed to this shot because I really wanted the city in the foreground. But once you commit to it, you are sort of stuck there. I only had one camera body, and I was really wishing Steve was there because we needed this incredible sunset was happening to the west, as you can see in this photograph, the glow of the sky. So a friend of mine who happened to be right there when I pulled up, he broke off and went up the hill and I was like, you are crazy, because I was trying to hide under the hatch of my forerunner. I had opened it up and I was kind of climbing inside the back of the truck because I was afraid. There was lightning everywhere. And we had hit right off to our right side. Um, it's loud and instant, the kind where the thunder kind of happens at the same time. It was really close, and he was holding an umbrella and felt like the energy, the sort of in the air. Probably the hair was standing up on the back of his neck or something, but I was kind of climbed up inside of my truck. And it was pretty intense. The whole time I was a little bit scared while I was shooting. But there were so many people running around to see this that I thought, well, maybe it won't be my day. And then also on the hill right behind us, what are all these towers? Like, I don't know what they're for, wireless or radio towers or something. So I kind of had that in the back of my mind that maybe I standing there with my tripod, my metal tripod on the side of a hill, maybe I wasn't going to be the first thing to get struck by lightning. And I just really wanted this photo. So I tried to be as brave as I could. But after a few minutes, when the sunset to the right, just it got so insanely gorgeous. The orange glow was like nothing you've ever seen. And with rain coming down and lightning streaking across the sky, I finally had to
Wow.
like shift over. And that at that point I did hike up on the hill a little bit in these stupid shoes I had grabbed running out the door. I'm like slipping and sliding on the hill and my shoes are falling off. And my friend is there in the foreground. That's Trent. And he's got the red umbrella. And I was like, ooh, I kind of like that red umbrella in the foreground. Of course, at that moment, I forgot, like I clicked the shutter and I'm on like a 30-second exposure and he's moving around, but I still love the red umbrella there in the foreground. And but that sunset, it was magnificent. And just a beauty to watch. And it only lasted a little bit, and then my next few frames I've got the lightning happening as the night got later. You'll see in the sky those streaks
Wow.
of lightning across the
Wow.
sky while the storm is still raining out over the
Wow.
Channel Islands, and the glow of the sunset. It was like it was just one of those nights you'll
That's
never forget, you
crazy.
know? It was spectacular, and bolts just going and going. I mean, they were still going when I left. It was still so amazing. I actually I was headed home, really hungry. My husband's making dinner, and I'm like, I'm on my way. And then I'm driving by the Ventura Pier, and I'm like, one more shot. And I pull in, and I
Mm.
run out on the Ventura
Oh my
Pier, and
gosh.
I was standing out there, and I really wanted lightning all over the sky, which wasn't quite happening at that point. It had mostly moved to the west, and but by then it was starting to rain and it was getting really windy, so it was a bit uncomfortable. And I got one little bolt there, but I really like the city shots because
Mhm.
for me they have a real prettiness to them with that glow and the sunset. And overall, I'm not a huge, lightning is very ominous looking, but this was so beautiful and such a spectacular show of nature that I just was really, I was like really just excited to get to watch it. It was amazing. And I would have been
Mhm.
so mad if I was still in Wyoming or on still traveling and I missed this, because
Yeah.
we had an entire summer. I swear, we've had at least 4 or 5 months of the most blah weather I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Fog, and just as a photographer, just really uninteresting lighting and weather this summer with all the smoke and fog and stuff. So
Yeah.
I was, oh my God, I was so happy that I was in town for this.
And what are the odds? You know how easily, like you say, that you're kind of absorbed, comfortable, you're sitting in your house, you're editing with no real, you've just been shooting for 3 or 4 days in another state. You fly in, you're tired from that. Um, your cameras are not ready to go, and that you're fortunate to have a friend that's smart enough to recognize that and to get a text and
Yep.
to, because I could see very easily only getting to see this after the fact and
Yep.
not really, just
Mhm.
it would that would actually make me probably go step in front of a school bus if
I
I
know.
if I had just
Right?
missed if
If,
I had just missed an event like that,
yeah.
knowing that I just was out of touch with, like you say, you got back into town, you're out of touch with the weather. You'd be hearing it, but you're comfortable. It starts
Yep.
raining. You're just gonna sit there and edit the pictures that you got. And what I
Yes.
find really
So
entertaining
easily.
um,
Yep.
is is that you flew into Wyoming and you were texting me constantly about how uneventful it is, that the skies really are, there's just nothing to them. It's just kind of plain blue skies, a little bit of
Right.
smoke in the air, and and
Yeah.
it's a struggle,
Yep.
to
It
there's
was.
just no drama. And then you fly back into town, and the
Boom.
a once in a decade dramatic event
Uh-huh.
happens. I mean, that's where the stars just aligned. And to have
They
the,
did.
I can tell you, just even listening to you driving, my head would explode, because knowing that every bolt of lightning is a potential shot that I'm missing,
I know.
that
Mhm.
I don't know that I would have the patience to drive all the way to Ventura, knowing that, exactly as you talked about, that this event could last for 2 minutes, it could
Mhm.
last for an hour,
I
and
Yeah.
know.
and
I
it
know.
and to know that like I say, every bolt of lightning I would see, I would be like, oh my God, like pull me over. I don't care what my foreground is. Get me
Right.
something.
I
Right.
Instead
almost
of I
did.
search, just knowing the dedication it takes, the commitment it takes to have a vision where you're going to shoot and keep going with all those flashes. I'd be like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
And then to come up and to be lucky enough to find a spot, oh my gosh, like I'd be like, I would just leave my car in the middle of the road, tow it.
I
I
know.
don't care. Take it.
I know. If I
You can
had
have it.
pulled in, it would have been a nightmare. There were
Mm.
cars everywhere, and I would have
Wow.
turning around, and the time then I would have really unraveled, like freaking out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad I pulled in right there. I almost backed over my friend, but luckily I have a
Yeah.
rear camera. I didn't know who he was until I got out of the car, and I'm like, oh hey. But I was like, I gotta shoot whoever you are. But yeah, it was chaotic. It was hectic, like a
It's
little
just
fearful,
crazy.
but I know it's so funny. Yeah, but that is so ironic, and I would have felt like such a failure had I stayed at home and missed it. And you're
Mhm.
absolutely right. It would have been so easy to do and felt like, once the storm started to feel like, oh, it's already almost, it's not going to last that long. And one of the things, I got out of the car and my heart kind of sank for a second, because I knew I had pulled all the cards, the CF or SD cards out of my camera to download. And at the same time, I pulled out my little card wallet that has all the cards in it, because I do a little organized type of download and then, put them back in the right way. And I got out of the car and I'm like, oh my God, do I even have a card for the camera? And luckily I did. It's just,
oh my God.
it was just such and it was such an interruption of my organized state of decompressing after a shoot, and then to have to run out the door. It taught me, well, I think I wonder if I do. One time I stashed some cards in my glove compartment just as backup. I'll have to see if those are still there. I forgot about those.
Forgotten emergency stash.
Yeah, you got to have that emergency. And I should always have an emergency battery somewhere, because that's the other thing that can catch you off guard with all these electronics. Oh my God.
The funny thing is, I thought that exact thing when you were talking about, you hadn't even mentioned it.
Me too.
But when you said you grabbed and you ran out the car, I'm like, I could easily see racing around, getting there. My heart's pounding, getting there, and realizing I don't have an SD card, and start crying.
I know. Oh my God,
While
I would
you're
have.
watching
at least
every shot you're watching.
I would have had my phone, but you know how that feels. You're like, that's just not a real camera.
Yep.
Not for the size that we like to enlarge to.
Right.
I mean, it's great for little screen something or Instagram, but not when you want to have something you can enlarge, 4 foot by 8 foot or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the other thing was I did try to shoot some video, and it's so funny because when I first got there, I was firing the shutter every two. I only had like 2 second exposures, so I had to keep kind of firing it off. And I'm trying to do the video with my left hand, and I'm trying to fire off with my right, and it was a little crazy. But I'm glad I shot some video, because I captured a little bit of the sound of the thunder and just the beauty of that storm rolling over the ocean there. And that was earlier when I first arrived. And then unfortunately, when I ran up the hill, I left my phone. Oh my God, I left my phone, my camera bag, my purse in the car. The window was rolled down. It's getting rained on. And I'm up on the hill thinking, shoot, I hope nobody breaks into my car. It's unlocked, and I've got like all my stuff in there except the main, camera that I had and my tripod. Everything was in the car, but I kept looking down there, and there's a lot of people, so I was like, hope I get lucky.
Yeah, I don't think when your car's open, everything laying out exposed is called breaking in at that point. It's just called
Exactly. How do I explain that? Like, yeah, the window was rolled all the way down. I think my purse was on the seat.
Yeah. The back gate was open. My cameras were sitting there.
I still think it would have been worth it.
That's crazy.
So insane.
Oh, it was fun. But I did post the video up on YouTube. I just love the sound of the thunder.
Yeah.
And, it's pretty neat. But I wish I would have shot even more video. I just needed a whole team of people there.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Oh my goodness. I love it so much, Steph.
Thank you.
I think that this is such
awesome.
Right
place, right time.
Yeah. Gotta have a little bit of luck, that's for sure. And get my butt out the door. That's the key. That
I'm amazed that you got out the door, because I was at home cozy and enjoying the show.
Yeah.
And first of all, some of this looks like it's from a movie or something, like Spider-Man or something.
Yes.
It doesn't look real. It's insane. So I love, not only did you capture lightning, but in a way that seems like beyond belief. And when you go to these, I mean, this is iconic Stephanie. This is Stephanie's twist on lightning. So you've taken something that typically we might show in the gallery and people would be like, oh, that's cool, because we've got some lightning shots and people are like, oh yeah, that's neat. But people don't put that on their wall. It's one of those things that people like to see and talk about, but it
Right.
doesn't get blown up big. And this on its own is exquisite. And then you have lightning in the middle. It's like you guys have shot all of these gradient skies and gradient water lately, and I'm just absolutely in love with it. I just can't get over this. This is unbelievable.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
It's exciting.
that's a great example too. Something you just said there, Tasha, is there's so much energy and excitement, and it's what really fills the soul of a photographer,
Mhm.
is the chase and the hunt and the
Yeah.
just that, like that. Oh, there's so many things that had to come together. The could you imagine her heart pounding, racing up the coast? Flashes are going back. There's accidents all over the place because people are trying to see
Mhm.
it. But as photographers, we don't really get to just sit back and appreciate something. Our Her mind's racing that entire time, because I know that's exactly what I would be doing as I'm racing up there. Numbers are going, settings are going through my head, where
Mhm.
I'm going to shoot's going through my head, the the stress of knowing that it could be over in a few seconds, and then you race up there and you capture it. And the truth of the matter is, you're absolutely right. Lightning and moon shots and
Yeah.
stars and stuff are very rare sales in
Mhm.
the galleries. But to me, that's what motivates me to shoot. And that's the rest of it is, even if that one of those images ends up, which it should, ends up large on the gallery wall, I don't even care if it sells. I love that about the gallery.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
gallery is really just a show place for passion, for our passion. And that, to me, I looked at the first shots that she shot and I heard about it, and I already had put myself in that place. you know the like I say, just the passion and the excitement and the thing to capture it. It isn't about sales. It's about
Yeah.
what pushes you and fills your soul as a photographer, because those are the ones that are so rare. Just that type of
Yeah.
lightning in Ventura is
Right.
super rare. To
Yeah.
have it not be pure gray black sky. Most of the
Mhm.
lightning in Ventura is just kind of flash lightning, where
Right.
it's hidden. It's you don't really get to see bolts, but to see that spider webbing of lightning in there is so rare. She's right. That probably happens once every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Like, you just don't. When it happens, it's over in a short period of time. And if you missed it, you missed it. And then you get to see it on social media and hate
Right.
yourself for
And
missing it.
I know.
Uh-huh.
I know. That's,
And
oh God.
I
I
have
would,
seen a lot of like the farm fields. I'm glad you didn't just stop, like Steve was saying, because I've seen a number of shots so far on social media of the farm field in the foreground, and it's dark and you're just not
Yeah.
getting anything. What is so beautiful about what you did is that you've got this iconic scene, and you've got an amazing sky, and you've got lightning. You've got all of the elements of what people are looking for to just be captivated by. And I'm so glad you didn't give up and just pull over.
oh, thank you. As we're looking at
Yeah.
this even
Yeah.
longer and viewing it, I'm just in awe. I love the reflection on the water from the lightning.
Mhm.
I
Mm.
mean, oh my God, it
I
was
think it's on the
just,
buildings too.
yeah, just really cool. Like,
It's
what a
great.
moment. I mean, that
Mm.
bolt, and that cloud, like, it's just beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
mother, and that is, Steve, you nailed it. One of the things about the gallery that we love, that is the most fulfilling thing of all about the gallery, is just sharing these magnificent moments of mother nature or the places
Mhm.
that we see, and sharing them with people and watching their eyes light up when they come in and see something they've never seen before, or if they didn't get to witness that themselves. And even if you did get to witness this in person yourself, there's something about the way a photograph captures it that you really get to linger
Yeah.
and look at it. It's such a different experience in a photograph, because it is
Mhm.
so stopped action, because your
Mhm.
eye just doesn't see those bolts for long. It's
No.
No.
such a flash. And I think it just really lets you study the shape of the clouds and the bolt coming out and how it does go all the way to the ground and all the things that are coming off of it. It's just it really is fascinating and awe-inspiring. So really fun.
But
I
to
just
me, it's to me, I love the chase and the all of the excitement that goes along with it. That it just shows through in that image.
yeah.
Again, it's not the odds of you being up there, of anybody being up there. How many tens of thousands of people live in Ventura, and there's 80 people
Right. Yeah, that is true.
that
It felt
plateau
like a
to
couple
see it.
hundred or thousand, but it wasn't that many. But
But
but yeah, it was.
but if we were just to shoot, if we were just to shoot for what we think sells, or what, if it's about shooting, for what is going to sell off the gallery, you would have sat in your house and just like, Lightning.
Right.
I do the same thing when people text me or call me that the super moon's coming. It's
Yeah.
it's if I'm passionate to go shoot it, I'll go shoot it, knowing full well that the last time I saw the moon shot was when I was a small child. It just isn't
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
not a big seller. But if you can capture it, if it
Yeah.
excites you and you're out there capturing, but it is
Yeah.
amazing timing, amazing capture. And like I say,
Yeah.
just everything that it took you to to keep your wits about you and get there and be lucky enough to have a flash card, because that would have been my biggest
I
thing, would
know.
been get up there
I
and
agree.
no SD card or no
Right. But
battery in
yeah.
my camera.
But yeah, the chase was a big fun part of this. The chase and the just the
Yeah.
excitement and thrill of
Mhm.
being a little bit scared and just all of it,
Yeah.
pretty fun. It was fun. I feel
Yeah,
lucky I
yeah, you
got
should
to
have been a
experience.
lot scared, actually.
I know.
Yeah.
Somehow
Lightning actually kills. Lightning
I
kills people.
know.
So
I
uh,
actually about that while I was up there. I'm like, what if I died right now? It's
Yeah.
like, wow, that would be wild.
No.
yeah,
Well,
Thank
it wasn't my
goodness.
time. Not by
Woo.
lightning on the hill.
Yes.
there you go.
You
Luckily.
made it out. You made it out with some epic
Yeah.
shots. So
Yay.
awesome.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.